Majuu, 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 Majuu.
Welcome one more time, ladies and gentlemen, to Radio Majuu, the voice of diaspora. I'm your host, George Gichobi, broadcasting live from Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, in the great United States of America. If it's Monday Majuu. And like I said, I'm your host, George Gichobi, and I'm being joined here with my guest also in Maryland, USA, and Mr. George Oluwaboro. I hope I'm saying your name right. Introduce yourself. Let people know what your name is and what you do.
Good day, everyone. My name is George Oluwaboro. I'm an accountant. I'm based here in Washington, D.C. area. I'm the managing partner of Brickstone and Associates. We are an accounting firm. We do accounting services, and we focus on the diaspora community to provide them with information to enable them to thrive in this environment.
Okay, so that was my first question. So your mission is supporting development across Africa. So what role do you see the African diaspora playing in driving sustainable development on the continent?
Wow, that's a very good question. First of all, we have to determine what is sustainable development. We have to identify what we mean by development, because development has various connotations to different people. Are we talking about personal development, individual personal development, or are we talking about national development? When we also talk about development, we have to look at the segments. Africa has 55 countries. So which one are we referring to? But to take it as a whole, we are going, based on this conversation, I think we are going to assume that we are talking about Africa generally. And so, as we know, there are a lot of need in Africa. And so sustainability in that regard means, what can we do now that will be very useful to us in the future for us to continue to develop Africa based on what the needs are. So there are a lot of things that we as diaspora can really do for Africa. But one of the things that we can do, that when I believe most of us are doing it right now, is our financial contribution to Africa. What do you do? Is there a way for you to contribute to Africa as a whole, or to your specific family in Africa? And so when we talk about the role that we as Africa in diaspora that we can play, the first thing is they need resources. Can we provide them those resources? That's number one. Financial contribution and investment is the key to those development. Once you've identified what you want to develop, then you have to now put resources to it. Okay. Secondly, we can transfer skills. Our own experience in the US, you can transfer those skills to Africa, and that way we'll be able to look at how that development will affect the general populace. But also, one other thing I wanted to mention about what we can contribute by doing networking and partnering with the community back home. And so I believe there are so many things that we can do, but as individual, we have to decide what we want to do, how we want to participate. Who do you participate with? Who do you work with? So that all depends on what is the goal, the ultimate goals that we want as a diaspora. What do we expect to get from the result of our effort in developing our community? What is our objective? And I believe before you can actually look into that development, you have to now determine what do I really want to achieve? as part of the diaspora? Are you going to do it as individual, or are you going to do it collectively? And that brings me to the question of One Voice Consortium, because as a result of One Voice Consortium, it's an effort to create sustainability or sustainable development in Africa. And I think One Voice Consortium is really, really doing a good job about that. And that's one of the reasons why we have been working with Dr. Robert Shuri to make it possible. It's a long journey, but at least we have to start somewhere.
Okay, now that you mentioned the One Voice Consortium, shout out to Dr. Robert Shuri, who works very closely with Radio Majuu and the Food Security Consortium. So how do platforms like OVC strengthen your work with diaspora resources?
Well, like I mentioned, individual and organization will have to determine what they want to do. I believe One Voice Consortium believes in bringing everybody together for a common purpose, and that is the key. Do we have the same concept of development? What might be concept of development to you might be different from my own idea of concept. Some people might look at it as personal concept, personal development, while others might look at as collective. And I think One Voice Consortium, as the name connotes, is said one voice, that is coming together to solve specific problem. And that is what I believe One Voice Consortium is doing. And I encourage everybody to figure out a way to participate, because there are so many opportunities, so many areas. Look at education, agriculture, healthcare. So there's a lot of things that can be done. Nobody is an island, and nobody has all the answers. Everybody has their own silo. Identify your own area, and then try to see what you can do to make influence. If you cannot do it by yourself, I think it would be interesting for you to actually look for other people that have been doing it, and you can now put resources together, put efforts together, and make it a reality for everybody. At the end of the day, the bottom line is for Africa to progress, and I think that's what Dr. Churi and the folks at the OVC are trying to do, and also using the FCC, which is FSC, which is a Food Security Consortium, because without food, you don't have energy to do anything. And so, there are so many things to be done. Seriously.
Yeah, that is a very good point. So I was just interviewing the FSC chair on my last interview, and we were focusing mainly on agriculture in terms of helping Africa. So the Food Security Consortium is working on innovative solutions in agriculture. How can diaspora resources and partnership accelerate food security initiatives?
I mean, as you know, food is very important. If people have enough food to eat, they will have enough energy to do whatever they want to do. They won't have to worry about anything regarding food. And so I believe there are some diaspora members who are in the field of agriculture who can now contribute to the agricultural development in Africa as a whole. For example, if you notice, the past chairman or the past CEO of African Development Bank was trained in the US as an agri person. And so that guy, because he was able, Dr. Adesina, I think that was his name, he was able to use his experience to influence policies regarding agriculture in Africa. And so as a result of that, he was able to use all his influence to improve agriculture in Africa. So in other words, how do we in the diaspora participate in that area? One of the things that we can do is to start very small, what you can control. Get maybe the youths, get them to participate in agriculture by coordinating them, either providing land, let the government provide land, parcel out the land, and so that they can be gainfully employed. And those of us in diaspora who believe that they can work with those youth will now work with them, because it looks like agriculture has been relegated as not a good industry, but it's actually one of the best industry if you are able to go in there. And as you know, Africa is a fertile land, and we have to find a way to get our youth to be part of it.
Oh, perfect. So agriculture has been mentioned several times, and we are also of the point of view that this is the way that can really help the youth, the massive numbers of youth that are in the continent that are looking for a way out. And I'm sure it's not being talked about enough. And we here, me and you, Mr. George and Mr. George, we can add our voices to that and see how we can do it. So what are some of the innovative financing or project models you've seen that successfully engage the diaspora?
Are you making reference to agriculture or generally?
No, so we've moved away from agriculture a little bit. We are focusing on you as somebody who is in accounting and investment. So maybe you can tell us specifically towards financing models, just in general.
Okay, okay, that's a very good question. As you know, everything that we do, it's even in the Bible. It says money answers all things. Money answers all things, and I think whatever you want to do, you're gonna have to look for resources to be able to implement your ideas. The same thing happens with the diaspora that are looking for opportunities in Africa, or even Africans that are also looking for opportunities within Africa. But the bottom line is, where is the resources for them to do that? One of the things that is happening is that it's not a new problem, and various organizations, you're looking at the USAID before it was disbanded. They created a lot of opportunities for Africa to provide resources to Africa through their own system. But we have now to look at what individual organizations are doing to make resources available. One area that is of interest right now is what we call microfinancing, what we call crowdfunding, where individual they set up a platform, and if you have an idea, you can put your idea in the platform, and then if people like your idea, they can give money to you to be able to do what you want to do. That's one area. There are various organizations that are set up grants looking for good ideas to support those ideas to grow. But one of the things I've noticed that everything is fragmented. Everybody is doing their own thing in their own way. But definitely, people have to continue to grow. People have to continue to make decisions, take risk about what they believe will work. I also believe that government in Africa also should attempt to provide the enabling environment for people to invest in Africa, especially those in the diaspora. Most of us are working. You can't be in Africa 100% of the time. Maybe if you take a vacation, maybe you get maximum 2 weeks in a year or 3 weeks in a year. You cannot be able to do anything. So it's always very important for you to now find a way, the diaspora to find a way to connect with financial institutions back home to be able to say, okay, yeah, I have $5,000, I want to invest it in a viable project. There should be a way for people to have avenue for them to invest their money. Yeah, it's good to invest in Google or any of these companies in the West, but actually there is in Africa. Until the African companies or African government decide to tap into the potential of the diaspora, there will be an opportunity for the diaspora community to invest directly in Africa. One thing that has been working recently is that some state government, I believe Kenya, Ethiopia, they have set up a diaspora bond, okay, which is one way for diaspora to participate in the development of those countries. I remember, if correctly, that Ethiopia did something on bond for the Ethiopians in the diaspora to contribute money to invest so that they can introduce a dam in Ethiopia. That's one of the things that the African government and the diaspora should be able to work together to make it easier for the diaspora to participate, to make it easier, like, because if you invest in anything, you want a return. But one of the things that is happening is, if there is no way for you to guarantee your return or your investment, or to show that your investment in Africa is going to give you some money, you are not going to do it. So there is that transparency, that is still missing. Hopefully we'll be able to improve on that.
All right. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, this is Radio Majuu, the voice of diaspora. I'm your host, George Gichobi. And of course, I've been joined here on the studio today with another George who is telling us how we can leverage resources of the African diaspora. So you've mentioned a very pertinent point, which is trust. So how can trust be built between diaspora communities abroad and organizations or governments on the ground so that they can participate in this? I think one of the things you said is return on investment. And what else can build this trust?
Well, just like those of us in the diaspora are very weary of our brothers and sisters in Africa because we don't know them in person. And so the same thing, that our brothers in Africa don't also trust us because they believe, oh, these are diaspora people, they have come. What are they going to do now? So I think the first thing, in order to build that trust, is to figure out a way to work together, to find the right partners, and to agree on certain projects that they can work together on. So there must be what I would refer to as a meeting of the minds. There are a lot of NGOs in Africa right now that are doing fantastic jobs, but they need help. They need additional resources. Now, the point is, if you don't know them directly, it's always very difficult to connect. So that barrier needs to be broken, where there will be, my idea is that let there be a repository of all these NGOs. Those NGOs or those organizations that are working in Africa, where they can have what we call like a platform, where they will be able to list what they are working on. And they can now say, okay, this is what we are doing. This is the people managing the project. This is our report in the last year. But one of the things that is where the trust is lacking is most of the organizations in Africa, most of them don't even have yearly report. And so if you give them money, most of them will not be able to account for the money that you have given to them. I mean, just basic information like that, if you are able to present, if I give you $1,000, you should be able to say, okay, this is what I use the $1,000 for. But that idea of not being able to make that presentation or making that report makes it a lot difficult for people to trust one another. But I think with the advent of this technology now, I think things are a little bit improving, and we have to figure out a way to do something apart from the person that you know. If I don't know you, I should be able to do business with you. I should be able to trust you. Well, that happen by both of us agreeing on specific projects that we're going to work on. We're going to have a plan. We're going to have results. We're going to have deliverables. This is what we expect in month 1, month 2. And if all those little things can be addressed, definitely. I mean, to be honest, a lot of diaspora are eager to help. A lot of diaspora are really crying to help. But unfortunately, there is no meeting of the minds at the moment. But I think that will be resolved eventually as we continue to forge ahead. I'm very optimistic about that.
That is why we're having such conversations. And if you're just joining us, I have my guest, George Oluwaboro in Maryland, USA. And we're talking about how to leverage the resources of the African diaspora to get maximum impact on the continent. You've mentioned the financing. If I'm putting in my $1,000, I want to know in 6 months, I'm going to get $100 back, and the $1,000 is going to be used for A, B, C, D. So what are some innovative financing or project models that you have seen that successfully engage the diaspora? Any particular example?
Yeah, there are examples, but most of them are localized. What I mean, most of them are localized is that individual community. For example, certain community, Africa, we're ethnocentric. Okay, so let's say people in certain villages, right? They can come together and decide to do something, okay, because they have what is called a common bond. Okay, having that common bond makes it a lot easier for them to go after projects. So they put their own resources together, but that resources is specific to that particular community. And so they will be able to, at least because they know them, they will be able to manage their own resources. So that is the easiest way right now that resources are getting into communities, but not to, so a community that are not cohesive, they might not have an opportunity to do that. They might not have an opportunity to come together to do that. That's one area. The other area is that the banks in Africa now, most of them are coming into the US to work with the diaspora for specific projects, most especially in the housing development. Okay, they are say, okay, yeah, because individuals now don't trust their family to help them to build houses. So what they usually do now, the banks will come to the US and say, hey, we will be your eyes and ears on the ground. This is more or less like the way mortgage is run here in the United States. That's another model that is working. Other model that I've seen that is working are just individuals coming together, putting resources together and set up a finance company. And then they will now identify projects or companies in Africa that they can invest in as a group, or as more or less like a pool of resources. But all those things are still who you know. And I think what Africa needs right now is to be able to not, you don't have to know the owner of the company, but let the company's product and services speak for themselves, so that individual can make that decision without interference from third party. So they can be able to know, to calculate the risk. So those are the kind of information that Africa needs right now. But some people are doing it, and I'm not going to say here that it's not working. It's working, but everybody has to find a way to see what will work for them. Okay, and that's one area that I'm looking at. One other important area I wanted to mention to you is this: we in the diaspora, we don't have an opportunity to create our own financial resources. We don't have our own bank. For example, we are all Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and everybody. We bank with local banks and all the rest, but there is no concerted bank for Africans. I mean, if there is a bank for Africa, if you look at your wallet now, you have Visa. Who is your Visa card? Where is the money going to? So those are the kind of things that we as Africans have to look at and say, okay, yeah, let's have our own bank. When you have your own bank, you'll be able to now give resources directly to your own people. Then the resources will actually go to where you think it is needed. If you go to any of the American banks and say, hey, I'm a businessman and I'm going to do business in Africa, the possibility of them giving you loans or giving you resources is nil. You have to use your own money to be able to do it. So there's so many things that I think we can work on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, and welcome over time. I'm so glad to have you here. So you have your organization, Brickstone, and there's another organization here, Impact Change. So do you work with DIASPORAIMPACT.org? Do you work with DIASPORAIMPACT.org? And I guess my question would be, how can nonprofits and community-based organization or the Diaspora Impact best position themselves to attract diaspora funding and or expertise?
Thank you for bringing Diaspora Impact in. Based on my experience in North America, that's just like Dr. Churi. I'm sorry, I don't know. I did not talk to him about this. Just like Dr. Churi is working with OVC, I felt that we should do something, and that's the reason why I'm the founder of Diaspora Impact. And the reason why I set up Diaspora Impact is I want the diaspora to have an impact both here in the US and also in Africa. And based on my experience and based on my business ideas in terms of my profession, I noticed that there are a lot of NGOs in Africa and NGOs here that there is no way for them to go individually to different people to collect money. So we set up the Diaspora Impact to be a bridge for them to list their project or their NGO, and we connect those NGOs to resources in North America. Because in North America, if you give money to an NGO, you are going to be able to get a tax deductibility. Yeah. Okay, that is the reason why we do that. We apply for license from the IRS. We got the license, so that enable us to assist those NGOs, because those NGOs in Africa, they are not registered in the United States. But if they come through us, we will now be their eyes in the US. We'll now be able to help them to raise capital, raise resources that they need to be able to do whatever they are doing. Let me give you an example. One of the organizations that was listed on the platform is an education foundation. And what do they do? They try to take they try to give students in Nigeria to go to school, but they need money. So anybody can go onto their website and pick the organization, give them the money. The organization will report at the end of the year. They will say, okay, we've sent 10 students to school for the year. So that way, but the people that are giving the money in the US will be able to write it off from their taxes. So those are the kind of things that we're doing. Other things we're doing, we have the Diaspora Impact Fund as well, which is for profit organization. If you are building something in Nigeria or in Ghana or in Kenya, whatever you are building, you can go to the Diaspora Impact Fund and just put your information there and say, hey, this is what I'm building. This is how much I need. I have all the information. That is just our own way of saying, okay, let's create something. Maybe somebody will join us and say, okay, let's come together and work on all this. So that is what we're doing. It's more or less like we're trying in our own little way to create our own ecosystem for the diaspora.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. George. So what I'm hearing you say is like we need a system or some kind of organization that people can actually do the things that we are talking about. And thank you very much for creating the Diaspora Impact, and hopefully it will have a very big impact. All right, so we're moving along pretty well. I have another question. It has to do with agriculture. I don't know why agriculture keeps popping up, but it seems like it is a very important part of what we're talking about. So what sectors beyond agriculture and infrastructure do you see as ripe for diaspora-driven transformation in Africa?
To be honest, there are, apart from agriculture, I know we've talked about agriculture. It's always very easy for those of us who are not in that field to espouse solutions for that sector. I would rather let people that know about agriculture do that. Okay. But for agriculture to really work,
so this is beyond agriculture and infrastructure.
Beyond agriculture, okay. I mean, certain areas we can work on that. We look at the health sector in Africa. That's an area that needs a lot of resources. That needs a lot of skills. If you notice, majority of, at least most of Africans that are doing well in North America, you will notice that majority are in the health sector. We need to figure out a way to get those people to participate in the development of healthcare in Africa. All the skills that they've learned over here, they should be able, I mean, there should be a mechanism for them to be able to impact the people in Africa. That's in the area of agriculture, I mean, the area of healthcare, where you now look at education as well. Education is the key to everything. I believe you and I are having this conversation because of the privilege of education. Okay. Yep. And education is so important that we have to find a way to develop it properly. And one of my own, my dad was an educator, because we have to train teachers to be able to teach the children, to be able to teach the children. We have to build infrastructure for schools to exist. I mean, for example, if you go, I mean, the US, you look at high school, it looks like a university. So why can't we do the same thing back home, where we provide that level of infrastructure to support education? Why don't we pay teachers better than anybody else? Because that's a very good profession that will lay the foundation. And so that's another area that I think education is also very important. And if you notice, it is from education that other things will evolve. It is from education that you get your lawyers. It is from education you get your accountants. It's from education you get your doctors. You understand? So it's better for us. It's from education that you get your engineer. We talk about STEM and all those stuff. It is from education you get all those stuff. So if that's the foundation for any society to grow or to develop as much as they expect, there must be education. And then finally, I want to also say that we could make it, the government in Africa should make it a lot easier for people to acquire wealth. When we say acquire wealth, it means for you to be able to pursue your passion, to get reward for whatever you are doing. I mean, we are looking at everything that is great in America today. You will discover that everything is driven by the accumulation, the opportunity to accumulate more resources. You understand? And that is what we have to imbibe in Africa, to say, okay, because even those of us in the diaspora, why do we want to go back to home? Because we think it is easier to go back there and make money, extra money, right? But that is what is missing in our community. Just go back, make it a lot easier for people to do the right things, and then be able to benefit from their efforts.
Wow, they always say that Africa is the best place to be if you have money. So resources are actually the most important part of it, and you've hit the nail right on the head on that one. So instead of people moving from Africa, going to the West to look for these resources, they should actually be developing those same resources on the ground so that people can actually stay in Africa, or the ones that are already in diaspora move back to Africa. That is a very good question. So I was talking about these two areas that go beyond agriculture and infrastructure. So you mentioned healthcare, which is a very big area. You also mentioned education, which is a very big area. And these are obviously areas that we are going to explore deeper to realize our objectives. And I would dare to say media. So as we host this conversation on Radio Majuu, how important is the role of diaspora-led media in amplifying voices and projects like those of Brickstone, like those that Brickstone supports, and also Diaspora Impact supports?
Well, what is important is, how do you get your word out? If you are doing something, if you are working on a particular project, or you have a services to sell, how do you get people to know you? We are using this medium now to communicate, to do this interview. How do we get people to know you? We have to put everything on YouTube. Yes. But when you look at YouTube, it's very diverse, a lot of information, good and bad, ugly, everything is in there. So what's supposed to happen, and that is one of the things we are addressing. Fortunately, we are addressing it on the diaspora, through the Diaspora Impact. We set up a streaming platform. It's called Diaspora Impact Television. Basically, what it means is we wanted to create what is called a fast channel, which is just going to be for Africa related services and products, where you can come there and be able to see, if you are trying to find anything about Africa 100%, you could come in there. Now, our challenge, just like we have the challenge of having our own finances, our own bank, the same thing, we don't have our own television. Everybody just doing their own thing. Right? We support you. It's amazing. You can discover that you have CNN Africa, BBC Africa. Why are they doing that? Why can't we have? Because whoever controls those channels, they will be able now to determine what they are going to present to you. Yes. So if we as Africans, we could create our own channel or our own program. You know, that will be a game changer for us. That means we now have an outlet for everything in Africa. If you look at what's happening right now, we talked about arts and culture, Afrobeat, but all those things are not being played within the African community as a whole. We don't control the infrastructure. And so if you don't control the infrastructure, you are just at the mercy of the people that control it. For example, YouTube can cut you off anytime. They say,
you don't follow their guidelines.
If you don't follow their guidelines, they can cut you off. Even if you follow their guidelines, somebody will say, oh, this is not right. But what I'm just saying is this. We have, as a people, we need to now figure out a way for us to present our own story. We have a product. Have you seen any African product on the national TV, either CNN or MSNBC, CNNBC? You don't see them. But there are a lot of products. There are a lot of African stores. So our goal with the DII TV is to be able to put it together, and so that when you are looking for anything authentic about Africa, you could go to that. We could go to that channel, and that brings me to the point of another area that is really, really great is the creative industry in Africa, which makes it a lot easier for people to broadcast. There are a lot of YouTubers in Africa. There are a lot of influencers in Africa, but guess what? Those platforms are not owned by any African. You understand what I mean? So we need to figure out a way for us to be able to come up with our own. You have to control your own destiny. Let me put it that way. And that's one of the challenges that we face as Africans.
Wow. So there's MTV Africa, there's BET Africa.
Yeah.
And being in the media, I've seen this, and I've always wondered, okay, I see it as a good thing that they're going to Africa, but like you said, we need to have our own Afro-African black, whatever it is.
So that at least you'll be able to control the narrative. Look at what is going on right now. They are trying to erase the history of Africa, you know. And so if there is no alternative way for that history to be preserved or to be rebroadcast, you know, we might be lost forever.
Are you talking about the history going back 400 years of slave trade, colonization, neo-colonization, or the history of the African diaspora, the African Americans that are already here?
Yeah, both. Both the contributions of the African American that came before us, that gave us this opportunity to be here, to enjoy what we're enjoying now. You know, many people do not know exactly what transpired, you know.
The civil rights movement.
The civil rights movement. But right now, all those stories are not being, and are just being glossed over. They just want to bury everything. But there should be a way for us as a people to figure out a way to get it done. But it's going to cost a lot of resources for us to do it. But I think it's possible. I mean, So
I think we're on the right path here with my guest, George Oluwaboro. And I'm also George. My name is George Gichobi, originally from Kenya, right here in Maryland. And I'm assuming, Mr. Oluwaboro, you are from Nigeria.
Yes, I'm originally from Nigeria, and I went to school in Nigeria before coming over to the US. So I understand both words, and so my main goal is to be able to find a way to impact. Honestly, but I don't know how. But I'll just keep going. If not because of the work that we are doing, I will not be on this program. You know, I mean, So this is a very good opportunity for me, at least to say a little bit about my own, what the best that I wish for Africa, and I just hope other people will also have that idea to contribute to what's going on for the development of our dear country.
We have a lot of work to do, obviously, here at Radio Majuu, and we welcome you. And obviously, Diaspora Impact, just keep up the good work. And we want to bring the whole Africa together. Afro-African Bank, Afro-African TV, Afro-African University.
Yeah, you got
whatever name we come up with, because obviously especially in the media, they are gatekeepers. We learn about somebody called a gatekeeper. Who is a gatekeeper? This is the person that decides this news will go out, this show will go out, this one will not, and we will not put out this information. So the gatekeepers that are on MSNBC right now, CNN, they are not, their interests are not aligned with Africa. So, and then it's not anything negative on their part. They just, taking care of the interest of what they want to portray, which we cannot blame them. So even us, we need to get that opportunity to impact or allow what we need to portray to be out there, and we're going to do our best to do that. Thank you very much, Mr. George Oluwaboro, for coming through. I have 2 quick questions to wind up this very exciting session that we have, conversations that need to be had and need to be followed through to the next step. So my pet peeve is the youth of Africa and how they can engage in all this stuff that we're talking about, because without them, all this stuff that we're trying to put together will not go very far, because the impact is on them more, and also the future is on them more. So if we can engage them in some of the things that we're discussing, and we can encourage them either to participate in Diaspora Impact, come to the show like Radio Majuu, and also let them know that the resources that are available are actually greater than the resources that they're chasing. But, everything has been turned around in the media. I had another guest here the other day, and he was talking about the reinvention of the re-engineering of the mind, which was also a very, 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 very interesting conversation. So as we wind up, what strategies can African nations adapt to retain youth in agriculture and entrepreneurship rather than losing them to migration? Yes.
I think the Africa generally must make home to be conducive for living. Yeah. Yes. The reason why people are migrating, there's what we call the pull factor and the push factor. Okay, and the pull factor is what they are saying on the internet. Oh, they see America, they see the street, they see the way the people are dressing. Those are the pull factor. The education. They say, oh, okay, I want to go there. But the push factor is what is pushing them to go. What is pushing them to go? If a youth, there are different types of people. Some people who are struggling, or maybe the dad, the mom, they were not able to take care of them, provide for them financially. Most of these youth will probably go out of the house, maybe at the age of 10, 11, 12, trying to make a living to support the family, right? So all those things are there. But in a way, agriculture can actually help if it is well structured. What I mean by that is, let people know that agriculture is a good source of living, that you can make a lot of money in agriculture. And I think the government or the local government should be able to do that. Maybe they could just designate. I remember when we were growing up in schools, we have our own farm and they give us plot. And you will notice now that system is no longer in existence. So people are not aware of what agriculture is. They are not aware of what could be done to get to be productive and to make a lot of money in agriculture. And this will rather surprise you. A lot of rich people now, do you know what they are doing? They are going back into agriculture. Because seriously, because agriculture, there are a lot of people in Africa, a lot of youths. So some of these rich folks in Africa now, they are buying land and hiring these youths to work on the land. But what's supposed to happen is they should not be forced to work on the land. That is going to be like necessity. That's why they are going back to the farm. but you want to be able to inculcate farming into them earlier on, so they will see the importance of farming. Like if you grow yam or cassava or corn, if there is a market, if there is a way for you to know, if I grow this yam, I will be able to sell it and make money and buy whatever I need. So that education is not there. So people don't understand the process of entrepreneur. I would probably call it agropreneur.
Agripreneur. Yeah.
Agropreneur, where you know, okay, I'm a farm. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do. Say, okay, I grow this, I sell, but there must be a Greek infrastructure in place. Let's say good road, market condition is okay. In Africa right now, everybody can exchange money. You can transfer, you can use M-Pesa in Kenya, you can use Flutterwave in Nigeria to transfer money instantly, right?
Exactly, yep.
But there is no product. You understand? There is no product. So that's the missing link. So the product now is to figure out a way to convince the youth to say, okay, grow the yam, I'm going to buy it. One of the things that is working right now, one of the kings in Nigeria, is he created a youth farm. Okay, and what did the king do? He created a youth farm, and he decided to buy the produce from the youth. Okay, so that they won't have to wait to go and sell themselves. They more or less like a collective farming.
Yeah,
produce and you sell. So that way, I think that's a very good model to follow, to engage the youth. Unfortunately, you can't engage everybody. There will still be some people that will take it, but at least we don't have to worry about that. We just have to do what I think it is right.
Wow, this calls for a Marshall Plan, because we see the solution. It's right there on the fingertips. But how to get the paradigm change and the mind shift to the youth actually seeing agriculture as cool or as sexy, having it go viral like the TikTok videos, or actually the TikTok itself, where people just flood over there to exchange funny videos. But if they were flooding over there to explain a success story, like in my country, rice, millet, wheat, how much you've made from my bananas, how much I made from my mangoes. I've seen some of that coming in, but it's trickling, and we need to up the ante, and we need to put it on overdrive. Well, this is my guest, George Oluwaboro. He's joining us from Maryland, and I am George Gichobi, hosting you live on Radio Majuu in Maryland too.
We are in the finishing touches of the Diaspora Cup. So if you go to the website diasporacorps.org, you'll be able to see what we have there. The purpose of that, and this is my call to action that you requested. My call to action is, if you are interested in actually working to the development of Africa, you could go to that site. We have two choices. Are you a diaspora? Do you want to go and contribute to Africa? You could put your name there. We plan to raise resources to send people to Africa to say 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, depending on your preference. Okay. And then if you are outside the diaspora, you are in Africa, and you want the diaspora to come and give you their skill set, to share their experiences with you, you can also go there and put your information there. That way, our goal is to match the diaspora interests with those on the motherland that are looking for a way to connect. So that's one way for us to start getting people to go back home once in a while. I know in Nigeria they do Dirty December. Everybody goes home in December to do Dirty December. We hope, based on Dirty December, we created this Diaspora Cup where people can just go, okay, for 2 months, and you contribute, and we hopefully will be able to sponsor a lot of people who wants to go to Africa. So if you are interested in going back to Africa to help Africa, go to diasporacorps.org and put your information there.
Wow, that is a very interesting concept. In Kenya, they're called summer bunnies. So in December, we have all these summer bunnies coming. Maybe they can do something similar with the Dirty December. Maybe we can find out what these other African countries do when the diaspora flock in back to Africa, and maybe combine all these events together and create one big diaspora event that will amplify the voices of what we are trying to do.
Yes.
Sounds super interesting. Well, there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have my guest here, George Oluwaboro, and he's with Brickstone Associates, and he's also with the Diaspora Impact and the Diaspora Corps. So you can check him out on all those platforms. And obviously, I am with Radio Majuu. My name is George Gichobi. You can check us out on www.radiomajuu.com on all our social medias handles, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and the likes. And we can continue this conversation on how we can leverage the resources of the African diaspora in a structured way and in a planned way and organized way for to maximize the impact on the continent. Thank you very much, George, for coming through, and hope we can continue this conversation at a later time. And you can tell your people bye and where they can find you.
Oh, thank you, George. Thank you so much for the privilege and the opportunity to be on with you this afternoon. I really appreciate it. If anyone is interested, I will, instead of doing my Brickstone and Associates, I will suggest, because this is African program, I will suggest to go to diasporaimpact.org. You can also visit the diasporacorps.org, and you can also go to diitv.com. That's our communication channel, our streaming channel.
Yeah.
So, and if you are a business person out there and you're trying to raise money, we can help you out as well through the Diaspora Impact Fund. We can create a crowdfunding platform for you where you raise as much money as you think, as long as you have a very good, viable project. So that's all I have to say, and I look forward for people to contact us, and you can also reach me on 202-445-6440.
Perfect. Thank you very much, George Oluwaboro, for coming through. This is Radio Majuu, the voice of diaspora. Hashtag going beyond diaspora. And where do we go? We go right back to the motherland, Africa. Let's get together. Let's do something. Let's impact the motherland. Thank you for coming through. Until next time, I'm your host, George Gichobi, and bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Majuu, 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 Majuu.